Sid Hartman, a few years back we did a show called Life to the Max. In the 11 years we only devoted one entire show to one person, Sid Hartman. We interviewed 30 of his closest personal friends along the way. It was an in-depth look at Sid Hartman as he looked back on his life, growing up with a father that had a drinking problem.
My old man was tougher than heck. If you got out of line with my old man, he'd take his belt off and he'd whip your rear end.
He worked his way up the hard way, starting with a paper route on the north side. That started the work ethic that would define him.
I used to get up 4 o'clock in the morning every day to do that news run in the morning, ride my bike in the morning to school, then downtown to sell papers, and then go to Hebrew school from 6:45 to 7 o'clock.
Wherever he went, he left a mark.
Just walk in front of everybody's shot and just put your joint up in it.
And he was sometimes the target of a practical joke.
How's that? Sid?
You know, that Dark Star is a real smart son of a gun, isn't he?
But what mattered most to Sid was the relationships. His career and personal life blended into one. The people he covered became his friends because they learned Sid was on their side.
When you have Sid Hartman as a friend, you have a friend for life. You have somebody that's going to back you and support you and be in your corner no matter what happens. And I think that's the thing I admire most about Sid.
You could hear him coming down the halls. You knew when he arrived, you know, here comes Sid, you know, and he'd always give somebody some trash about something and we give it right back to him.
The most noteworthy are well documented. His best friend, Bud Grant, shared more with Sid than anyone.
Whatever we talked about, he never ever reported. He never said Bud said, or he never would say anonymously where you know where it would come from. He never ever puts you on the spot, and he does that with other people, not just me.
But those people were more than just Minnesotans. He had a national presence, and they had respect for him.
Who's the guy that calls you when you're down? Who's the guy that's there whether things are going well or things are going poorly? It's Sid Hartman.
His family mattered too. His loyalty and devotion to them, again, blended into his professional life.
I can think back to when I was playing Little League, and like all kids, you have some good and bad days. And so you want to get a little bit of help. Maybe you want to play catch in the backyard with your father. Here's how my father tried to help me out with Little League. He brought Rod Carew. That's how Sid would do it.
It did not take long to become one of Sid's close personal friends.
You know, Sid, he wants the background, and after that day, I found out I was one of his new best friends.
That's Sid Hartman. Even when you disagreed, you could not help but like him. He was an original, and he will never be forgotten.
Because there is nobody that I've met during the now 40 years that I've been in sports that I respect more, admire more, like better, or would count on more than Sid Hartman. You are a tink, Sid. There is nobody comparable. Thank you.
Oh, Norman, it is so true. And I did a TV show with Sid for 20 years. I worked on the radio station with him for the last 22 years in a Sunday morning show. And he just, the national people that would gravitate to him, and I'll never forget the priceless dinners that we'd have with Bud Grant and Bobby Knight, and Sid was right, you just sit back and listen, but were they fun.
I mean, this is the kind of guy that I think that we all learn from day in, day out, and into the future.
And his work ethic, man, his work ethic.